Hello. I'm back with another one of my Disney movie ranking videos. The first one I did of these was going through and ranking all of the Disney princesses. I will do some other ones where I rank some of the, probably not the princes, but maybe go through and rank some of the different Disney heroines or something like that. Now I'm going to start doing a little bit of a thing where I go through and I rank the different Disney movies themselves. Since I watched through all of the Disney movies, very recently, I'm like, well, I've got a lot of that still in my head. So I'm like, comparing, one to the other and just kind of seeing where I land on a lot of them. And so there's, some fun there. Um, I'm going to do these in sections because there's a lot of Disney movies and I do not need to be trying to remember, oh, this one happened this time and this one happened here and this was here and all of that. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to do these kind of by the different Disney eras of films. So the original era is what's considered the golden age of Disney animation. So that would be, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Pinocchio, Fantasia, Dumbo, Bambi, that stuff. And then we have the wartime films, which of course were during World War II and everything like that. And there's not as many of these that are going to be on here, and mostly just because I haven't seen them. Because like these consist of the different Good Neighbor films, like the Three Habaneros and stuff like that, with like Donald and his friends from South America and everything. And then this also has like a bunch of the different, like the Make Mine musical and Funny and Fancy and like Melody Time and like a bunch of these other like different ones that they produced that were, just like they're different, Melody Time ones where it was, or not Melody Time, Melody Time where it was, they're the different shorts that they had done and they just kind of put them all together and everything like that and like re-release them into theaters that way since they didn't have as much money to go into making new projects. And then that also includes Ichabod and Mr. Toad, which, while I did not review the movie, I have watched it recently enough that it is on this list. And of course I can't review or I can't rank a movie that I haven't seen, so I haven't seen a bunch of the other Good Neighbor ones and the other miscellaneous ones that they had during that time frame. And then, of course, we go into the Silver Age of Disney animation, which is, of course, Cinderella, Alice in Wonderland, Peter Pan, Lady and the Tramp, Sleeping Beauty, 101 Dalmatians, Sword in the Stone, and Jungle Book. With Jungle Book being the last movie that Walt Disney actually worked on, or the last animated movie that Walt Disney actually worked on. So, of course, it's on the list. And from there, so I'm going to be ranking those movies. So I think I had it come out to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So there's 14 movies that I'm going to rank on this section. And then I'm going to do like a separate video where I rank the, so I will end up going and doing the other eras of Disney movies as well. The Bronze Age, the Renaissance, and all this other stuff as well. But those are going to be broken up into separate videos. And I think I actually hear Rainy at the door, so I'm going to go open the door and see if he wants to come in. Rainy didn't want to come in the room. Oh well, time to start ranking. So we'll start with the fairest of them all, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which of course came out, in 1937. It was, the first feature-length feature-length animated in color with sound, blah, 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 all together. Now, in the princess rankings, Snow White actually got the lowest ranking, but she still got a C, which is, I'd still hang out with her and everything. I'd still be around her and everything, but, it's like Snow White, it's like I still have, I still really love the movie. I still love, there is the song, the Someday My Prince Will Come, which I do like the song, but it's also like, go out and find the prince yourself. But at the time frame, of course, that they were going for the era that it was being made in, and then of course throw in the fact that it was, about like this fairy tale from, the medieval time, from medieval ages, Snow White is actually going to go into the B category for the Seven Dwarfs. Yep. Go there. Then we're going to do Pinocchio. Pinocchio, of course, there's going to be a live-action version of Pinocchio that comes out soon that's going to have Tom Hanks as Geppetto, which I'm already like, you already have my attention with this, so keep going. So yeah, we're gonna do that live action one, and as I stated before, this is just based strictly on the animated movies themselves. And these ones that's they're standalone, so it's like for Cinderella or Peter Pan or Lady and the Tramp. I'm not going to count any of their sequels as part of like figuring this up, since it's just strictly based on this movie itself. Pinocchio, there's lots of lessons to be learned from Pinocchio. Don't trust the weird fox man. And don't try to trust the guy that wants to send you to Pleasure Island. Yeah. There's certain lessons in Pinocchio that are like, yeah, listen to your parents. Pinocchio is actually going to go in B as well, and it's actually going to go behind Snow White. Not that I don't love Pinocchio. It's like most of these movies, minus like 2 or 3 that are part of this section, I would happily watch at any time, just because I just like the movies, the songs, the animation in the movies, and everything like that. Next up, we have Fantasia. Now, Fantasia is, of course, this, theatrical concert type piece movie, that is just, it's beautifully animated. I love all of the sequences in the original Fantasia and in Fantasia 2000. And they're just really fun to watch, beautifully drawn. The music that they use in them is so well done with the animation, and I love it. Fantasia is going to go into B, and it's going to go ahead of Snow White. Let's see here. Then we have Dumbo. Dumbo, I stated this in other videos. Dumbo is actually the title character that has the least amount of lines in their own movie, with the Sleeping Beauty, with Aurora being the second one in that list because she's asleep for part of the movie. Dumbo is, of course, he doesn't really talk in the movie. We hear him, he makes noises and everything, but he doesn't really like talk that often in the movie. Let's see here. Dumbo, I love the story between, Dumbo and his mom and that relationship there. And then, of course, we have the mouse, Timothy. Yeah, it was Timothy, I think. I don't remember. But, like, I just love how they, it's like, it's this kind of cartoony style of animation that they used, of course, that was, very similar to, like, the Silly Symphony musicals and everything like that, with, like, the squishy and stretchy animals and everything like that. But it still had, like, the same kind of heart that goes with, like, that was in Pinocchio and everything like that, with making you having emotions for this puppet. It's, making you have emotions and feelings for this little baby elephant that just wants his mother back. Dumbo, I do really love it, but I'm going to put it here behind Pinocchio. Not that I don't love it, I love it just slightly less, I guess, than I love Pinocchio. I would still love to watch it at any time. Then we have Bambi. Pretty sure Bambi is just kind of what makes me not want to deal with hunting at all, but I understand there's a difference between, like, overpopulation of deer and blah, 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 blah. But with Bambi, of course, it's, it's still this, beautifully animated. There's beautiful music in the background and everything like that, where, the drip, drip, drop, little showers, all of that they have. I love that section. And, the love, it's a song that never ends, and, Twitter pated and all of that. I just love how they, designed that movie, and how it's so based in, like, realism, for the way that, for the way that the drops work, for the way that the animals would move, for, like, their, physical appearances and everything like that for the animals. And just going based on, like, how far they came since, like, Snow White, so many years ahead of time. Like 5 years previously. And how they just made that leaps and bounds in the realism of, like, how the animals would move, and, the water and everything would work. Bambi is actually going to go in the A tier. I love Bambi. Then we have Ichabod, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. Yeah, Bambi is the last one of the the golden age of Disney animation, and then we move into the wartime era. And as I said, the only one from the wartime era that's on this list is The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. It is not anywhere near one of my favorite Disney movies. It's okay, and it goes into the C category. Actually, it's going to go into the D category because I just do not care that much for the movie. You have Bing Crosby narrating part of it, which is fine, but I just don't care that much for the story. There's not much that really connects there for me. It's fun. It's a funny movie, but it's not something that I want to like watch a bunch of times. It's just not. Maybe like once a year, if that, around Halloween, because of the Ichabod setup of it, because it's based on the Headless Horseman. But that's about it. Then we move on to Cinderella, which is of course the beginning of the Silver Age of Disney animation. Cinderella was, of course, as I've stated multiple times for Cinderella in the Cinderella movie reviews and everything like that, Cinderella was kind of this movie that saved the Disney animation department. If Cinderella hadn't worked, Disney, the company, may have just, not be around either as it is today or just not at all. Or it would have been bought up by something so much sooner. And then, we wouldn't have had, subsequently all the other movies if Cinderella had not worked. But not taking that into account, Cinderella in regards to, I love the animation in Cinderella. I love the songs. I do love Cinderella. Cinderella in and of itself in regards to a fairy tale has always been one of my favorite fairy tales. Probably second only in regards to like fairy tales to like Beauty and the Beast. Because it's the kind of the ultimate karma story, the fact of like the good person, Cinderella being this good, sweet, nice person, maybe made one or two mistakes in her life depending on whatever variation of the story you're reading or watching or whatever, but she is usually generally a very good person. And she gets so much flack from her stepmother and her stepsisters. And she does eventually, of course, she's the one that gets the prince. Not because she's, the most conniving, but because she is, the most beautiful. And, I just love the movie. And I did see something recently on Facebook, I think, that was like, everybody is mean to Cinderella because she was like, she went to the ball to marry the prince. No, she went to the ball because she just wanted to go to the ball and have fun for once. She happened to end up catching the eye of the prince, happened to spend the entire night talking with him, happened to end up being the one that he decides he wants to marry, and everything. And, happens to be attracted to him in that regards. I mean, he's a good-looking prince. I'll give him that. So Cinderella is actually going to go into A tier. I'm sorry. I love Cinderella. Just behind Bambi, but I still love it. Then we have Alice in Wonderland. And Alice in Wonderland is very much the movie that it's just this trip of a movie. It's the girl falls down the rabbit hole and it's just like, don't eat this, eat that, try this, don't try that, don't eat this while you're inside the house so you'll get large. And then there's the random thing about the walrus and the carpenter and the clams that makes no sense. Why it's in the movie to begin with. And then, there's the whole, the Queen of Hearts section and the fake trial and just everything that makes no flippin' sense in the movie at all. And, it's supposed to be, it's Alice's World, where it's just like nothing makes sense. There's bread and butterflies, which I do like that sight gag of the bread and butterflies. And like some of the other things that they have. But it's just not one of my favorite movies. It doesn't really have songs that I sing along with at all. I mean, there's some songs in it, but it's not really something that I sing along with. And I still like the animation in the movie. But I do like it more than I like Ichabod and Mr. Toad, so it's actually going to go into C category, C rank. Then we move on to Peter Pan. Peter Pan, of course, is based off of the stage play fairy tale book that was, written. and it's him and his adventures, and of course, out of some of the earlier Disney heroines, I would say I probably connect with well, not Cinderella so much because I don't have like the evil stepmother or stepsisters or anything like that, but the Wendy, not wanting to grow up, not wanting to have to go down that path of responsibility, wanting to continue with like her imagination world, but still being extremely responsible, because we see Wendy being very responsible throughout the course of the movie. Um, Beyond the fact of, going out of her window with the strange boy that she has no idea who he technically is, and he's wandering off with her and her brothers to a land filled with pirates and lots of things that can hurt them. But generally, Wendy kind of seems to be the more, responsible one that we see in the movies. Yeah, that we see in that movie. Um, so, and some of the songs in the movie, not that there's too many of them, but there's some fun ones that are in there. And I do like the animation and everything like that, and the voice acting is really good that they have in that. And of course, whoever that, I don't remember who they had play the Captain Hook / the father, but he does a great job of just like, even though he's not physically on set, he is still like there. You can feel Captain Hook being able to like chew the scenery as he's walking around and everything like that, and I love that. And Peter Pan is actually going to go into the C rank as well, but it's going to go above Alice in Wonderland. Yeah, we'll go C. And we're gonna move on to Lady and the Tramp. Lady and the Tramp is another one of those. Just I love the songs, I love the animation, I love the characters, I love the story. I've always loved Lady and the Tramp, and the spaghetti scene is adorable. It's just, there's so much about Lady and the Tramp that I love. I love Lady in and of herself. I love the way that she, kind of doesn't want to take any flack from Tramp as well. And how she's, she's not afraid to show when she's angry at him, or when she thinks he's wrong. And I love that. I love the jokes that they play about when Darling is pregnant, because, Jim Deere is just running ragged trying to keep her happy with it. It's just funny. Watermelon and chop suey. Chop suey in the middle of winter? I love that. It's just fun. I just love Lady and the Tramp. The animation, everything. Lady and the Tramp goes in A tier. If you hear an alarm going off in the background, that is a phone alarm. It's my mom's alarm in the other room because she's supposed to wake up. Next we have Beauty and the Beast. Or not Beauty and the Beast. That's wrong. That's the Renaissance era. Next we have Sleeping Beauty. Sleeping Beauty, again, just another one of these movies where I love the animation style that's in it. I love like the clean lines, the beautiful Gothic style look of everything that they have in it. Like medieval Gothic style. I love it. It's beautifully done. Even the couple of songs that are in the movie. Not that there's an overabundance of them, but there's a couple of them here and there. Mostly Aurora's song when she's in the forest and everything, and like singing with the animals, and then meeting Prince Philip and everything. And there's other moments in there. The moment where Philip is like, he's just telling Cyrus, so it's like, no, I'm not going to marry a princess. I'm going to go marry this girl that I met in the woods because we met once upon a dream. And his dad's like, the frick am I supposed to do now? The funny song between the two kings, between King Philip or King Stefan, and I cannot remember the name of the other king, but between them, that funny song and everything, scomps, whatever it is, where they're toasting everything and then fighting with a fish, and it's, and I say this when it comes a lot to like, if I'm ever in a situation where for some reason there's like an evil witch that lives near me, or an evil sorceress or fairy or something like that, I would hope that if I was the mother in any of these fairy tales, I would be the mom where it's just like, okay, yeah, we're going to send an invite to the evil dark fairy person that lives on top of the mountain. Why? Because let's put it this way. I've read enough fairy tales. I don't need her showing up and cursing my child just because we didn't send her an invitation. At the most, what'll happen is she'll show up. She might bring a nice gift. She'll eat cake, and then she'll leave. Or he'll leave, depending on if it's a sorcerer or sorceress. At the worst, she won't show up, but she won't be offended and then curse our child. That's just my general reaction when it comes to that setup of like, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to send them the invite so that way I don't have to worry about them cursing my child. Because I don't want that. That would be me if I was if I was for some reason the mother in one of the, like Sleeping Beauty or something like that. One of the fairy tales was just like, I don't want my child cursed. We're sending an invitation. Why? I've read enough fairy tales to know how this ends. I don't want my child going through that. I do that. But I just, I love so much of the animation and the music and everything that's in Sleeping Beauty. Maleficent is just this great villain and everything like that. And I just find it great. And like Philip is actually kind of like a more relatable prince. Like we spend more time with him than we do with either of the Prince Charmings from from Snow White and Cinderella. We spend more time with Philip and everything like that. And like seeing, stuff from his point of view a little bit. Still, he's marrying the girl he met, like that, the day before. But still, I'll go with that. It's fine. Let's see here. Sleeping Beauty. Where would I put Sleeping Beauty? A tier, B tier, A tier, B tier. It's going to go an A, and it's actually going to go ahead of Cinderella. Not that I don't love Cinderella, as I stated. Most of these, I love these movies. So far, really the only two on this list that I wouldn't end up like spending a whole bunch of time watching, or that I have up here so far, is Alice in Wonderland and Ichabod and Mr. Toad, just because they're not my favorites. Next up, we have 101 Dalmatians, which I love 101 Dalmatians. As I stated in some of the recent videos, I recently watched Cruella on Disney Plus, and I really enjoyed that movie. The fashion in the movie was great. I love some of the twists that they throw into it. The soundtrack in the background from like the 60s and the 70s is like awesome, and I love it. But in regards to 101 Dalmatians itself, I love Anita and Roger. I love Pongo and Perdita. I talked about them a lot on my Disney couples ranking list for the humans and then the animals. Cruella is, of course, this great villainess in the movie and everything. I don't care how you kill a little beast. Just do it, and do it now. Boil them, drown them, bash them on the head. I love Cruella. She's just this great, scene-chewing villain, and she's just wonderful. And I think if I remember correctly, I heard that she was based on Lauren Bacall, I think, for some of her mannerisms. I think it was one of those like classic Hollywood actresses that like Cruella was kind of based on. But I love her in the movie. I love, just the whole setup of the movie, the fun songs that are in the background that are not actually like sing-along songs, but are like, the Canine Crunchies, and of course Cruella de Vil and Dalmatian Plantation. Those are just fun. They're just really, just fun songs. The animation in it is so beautiful and everything. For all the Dalmatians and the puppies and the Pongo and Perdita and everything. I love it. Jasper and Horace are just hilarious and like bumbling idiots. I love Nanny. She's wonderful. I love I love the movie. What can I say? And, okay, I have to adjust something up here a second, but first we're going to put 101 Dalmatians in A tier as well, and I think we're actually going to move Sleeping Beauty into the first position. And now we're left with Sword in the Stone and Jungle Book, which are the last two of the Disney Silver Age, because those are the last two that Walt Disney worked on. So first off, we have The Sword in the Stone, which is I'm telling you now, it's going to end up in C tier. I still enjoy it more than Alice in Wonderland, and it's going to go in the C tier right here under Pinocchio or under Peter Pan. I still, it's just like all the movies on this list, minus, Alice in Wonderland and Ichabod and Mr. Toad, I'll happily watch most any time, for either the songs or the animation. Peter Pan's in the C tier, in my opinion, but I still love the movie. Same thing with like all the ones that are in the B tier. I still love them. Still happily watch the movie, sing along with the songs, all that. Well, I can't really sing along with Fantasia songs, but I can hum along with them. But yeah, Sword in the Stone. It's just it's like I love the Arthurian legend, and I like how they're kind of like messing with it and everything, and kind of make Merlin a little bit of like a bumbling idiot and everything. So some of that's there. That's kind of interesting for how they do that. There's some fun scenes in the movie, when Arthur gets turned into a squirrel and a fish and a bird, all of that and everything. So some of that's kind of fun to watch. And that's just kind of fun to watch and everything. It's fun animation, the Merlin packing up all of his stuff into his bag. It's just a fun scene to watch. Merlin mimicked Mary Poppins. It's just fun, and it is a fun movie, but it's not my, it's C rank in my opinion. Moving on to Jungle Book, which is, of course, the last Disney movie that Walt Disney worked on before he passed. And, I mean, all of these movies, Disney was very heavily involved in. He wasn't necessarily the director of all of them. I believe at least with Snow White and with Pinocchio, I think he was the director. But then after that, there were, like, other people that he had that were the directors of the different movies, because he had his 9 Old Men and so many of the other different animators and everything like that were part of the movies, that were part of Disney, that were part of making this vision that Walt had for all these different movies and trying to make each of them either better than the previous one or as good as they could be. Jungle Book, based off of the story of the Jungle Book, about Mowgli in the forest and the jungle and everything. There's not really that much. I mean, the songs are fun, you've got I was going to say you've got a friend in me, but that's wrong. Trust in Me, and, the Bare Necessities, and, I Want to Be Like You, and, all this other just, fun stuff that they have. Just other interactions with the different animals. Bagheera and Mowgli's relationship, and of course Baloo and Mowgli's relationship later on in the movie. And I love at the end of the movie how it's basically just like Mowgli sees girl and then just like willingly follows young girl into village because he thinks she's cute. And then Baloo and Bagheera are just walking off into the jungle being all happy, and everything. So it's just it's funny that way. I like those different sections that they have in the movie. Yes, I mentioned this in the review of the movie itself, that there were certain things with Jungle Book that was kind of the stay with your own kind and stuff like that are part of that. And that doesn't 100% color the way that I see the movie, but it does a little bit. But it was still a fun movie to watch when I was a kid, and we're actually going to put it here. So it's C tier. Still like it, still going to watch it, still like it more than I liked The Sword in the Stone. So that's what we have here for me ranking the first part of the Disney movies. As I said, I'll do another one where I do the Bronze Age, and then the Disney Renaissance, and then the more modern age, the post-Renaissance, and the more modern era. Depending on how many, I don't remember exactly how many are in the Bronze Age and such like that, but it's just Bronze Age might be its own video, and then the Disney Renaissance might just be their own video as well. Just because of the fact of there's so many movies in that section. This one I whittled it down a little bit because I don't have as many. The only wartime film I have in here is Ichabod and Mr. Toad. Other than that, not really any other wartime movies in this list, so that kind of cut out a chunk of them. So that's what we have. for this first section. I thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the movie or enjoyed the video. If you have your own rankings for where you want to put the different Disney movies, that's perfectly fine. Everybody is, of course, entitled to their own opinion on these things. Some people, their favorite movie may be Ichabod and Mr. Toad. I don't know. It just happens to be my least favorite out of these ones. But yeah, majority of these -2 are, of course, ones that I will -2. Sword in the Stone's a little bit of an iffy one, but I'm just like, yeah, I can watch it. But most of the other ones, I'm like perfectly happy watching at any time if I wanted to, or if I felt the desire to. Particularly any of my top five, then Fantasia gets thrown in there as well. So that's what I have. I thank you for watching, and I hope that you have a nice rest of your day. Bye.